I'll answer the question generically in respect of any member of a bank executive committee these days, and then I'll focus down on the CFO. But it strikes me that one of the key skills that most senior bankers, however their careers have evolved, have not been taught well to execute is the design, cost, commission, execute, implement of digital projects, basically. And that increasingly, as banks become significantly more technology enabled, I've heard some senior bankers, one of whom lost his job last week, describing his company as not a bank but a technology company. I don't believe that, actually. I think we are a people companies that look after people's money and do so, but nevertheless technology is the critical enabler. I do think that generally members of executive committees that are capable of succeeding will be those that can envisage and execute well, broadly, technology projects. If you play that then into the CFO world in particular, across finance and risk data, finance and risk data is very poorly organised in most banks. It is duplicated. The architecture is not logical, it is not uniform. The way that databases evolve changes over time as regulatory requirements or risk requirements or accounting requirements change. And against all of that, we have this opportunity now to deal with data in a less structured way through data lakes, through fishing data in a manner that suits the current need. And at the same time, we also need to understand where our golden source of data is. Many of the client contracts that we are dealing with, which will drive credit risk data, which will drive finance data, which will drive stress testing data, which will drive capital data, are set up in a manner that was contemplated 20 years ago when that customer joined the bank, when that customer took out their mortgage. It's way out of date. Way out of date. And so I think the smart CFO working with the smart CTO, working with the smart CRO, will be able to envisage and envision an environment where their collective needs can be addressed together and not in their individual silos, in a manner that drives efficiently stress testing, capital, liquidity, finance, customer requirements and needs. And I think CFOs have got a lot to learn, actually, in terms of doing that well. I also think CROs have a lot to learn in doing that well. And I also think CTOs, in my experience, tend to be quite passive in terms of responding to the project request that they receive and developing the specification for that project without challenging back in a sort of chief data officer architecture type way. Can we not build this in a manner that is logical, that can serve multiple purposes, that can clean up data from the past, that is future-proof in terms of what may happen going forward, etc., etc. So there's a massive amount to do and a huge opportunity. But you're dealing with customers here as well. You're dealing with their information, so understanding privacy, or privacy as I like to call it. That's a very old-fashioned way of pronouncing it. Working with the marketing people on CRM-related aspects of data. I think all of these are critical skills for any senior banker going forward. But as I mentioned, the CFO specific related aspects relate to capital, liquidity, accounting, regulation, and the overlap with risk is very significant with risk-based data.